Welcome to LINX112, everyone. I'm Kurtis Lindqvist. I'm the CEO of LINX, and I'm going to give you a quarterly update of what we've been up to on a perhaps slightly higher level since we last met in November, and you'll then get more detail about this in each of the more topical presentations by my colleagues throughout the day. So first, just a little bit of the growth we've seen. We saw in total 85 new applications in 2020, which, given the circumstances and the absence of any event and the hardship of doing any form of outreach, I think we had to be very, very happy with to see that level of new membership come in. We have seen 5 so far in January, I should say. This is actually not year to date. So that's probably a good pick up as January tends to be a bit of a slower month. Normally, we would now be out at events and meeting many of you and new members in terms of PTC and soon apricots and so on. Of course, none of that is happening this year, or at least not in this so far this year, probably in the first 3 quarters at least. We have seen the net growth of members go up in this quarter. We have seen a few cancellations at the end of the year, as we tend to always do, we have also amazingly also grown the number of countries we have by 2 up to 85. So this has been interesting growth throughout this period, throughout all of 2020. Number of 100 gig ports keep growing as well, which is now 270. Maybe more interestingly is we are now up to 149 10 gig ports, which I believe is the highest number of 10 gig ports we've ever had, at least for the time I've been on LINX, and possibly ever. So that's quite a growth as well in the last quarter, and I'll come back to this a little bit in a second. And in the quarter, we added 3 terabits of edge capacity again since the last update, which was a lot of at the tail end of the year. We were provisioning before the change freeze, and since then we have now added quite a lot of more of the edge capacity. So quite a bit of growth across the board. For the regional exchanges, we have actually also seen quite a bit of growth. There's a few new members at particularly Manchester. We have seen quite an uptake, and including the growth of interest in 100 gig ports and some of the content providers coming board in Manchester now. That we're very happy to see, because that of course means we get more balance of traffic, and we'll see more traffic exchange in Manchester. And Manchester also had a I think a new peak during the time as well. We're also starting to see a pickup of orders for Jedi, which is very happy to see. Their provisioning times tend to be quite a lot longer, as pretty much everyone who moves in there has to build capacity to the Middle East, sites in the Middle East, and so on. So tends to be quite a lot bigger projects that also haven't been helped by the pandemic, of course. When it comes to staff, some news. We have Mariana Julia has joined us as new enterprise architect. Mariana has been a contractor with us for a while, who's taken up a permanent job with LINX. Daniel joined the NOC, and we have a contractor in Terry who's joined us on the business development side for a year to work with us and with Steven's team as well. We had no leavers this quarter, and we have no open positions, so we're actually pretty much at all the FTEs at the moment that we have planned for. And one thing I wanted to give an update on, which we haven't talked very much about, is that during 2020, as we talked about before, we ran the incentive scheme for members who wanted to upgrade from 1 gig to 10 gig or take additional 100 gig ports, where you signed up the 12-month contract and got the first 6 months for free, and this was I have to say, for all my years in the industry, we have had I'm talking to colleagues of the other IXPs, it's been very little signs of any form of price elasticity in the market, but this incentive scheme actually exceeded all our expectations in the number of uptake on this, which is I think very, very positive for LINX and for the members, and it's a good way for us to show that we have provided value for members, and especially on the 10 gig uptake, that was a lot more than we have anticipated. But I think it's great to see members moving away from 1 gig up to 10 gig and being able to make use of that and have and provide an effective way for that upgrade path. So that's been very, very positive. that did have a bit of an effect on our revenue, as we had anticipated actually around the same number of actual ports, but a lot less taking up the incentive than they did. So that had a slight negative effect on the income. Well, in the short term, keep in mind this was a 6-month incentive. Also, the pandemic and the problem with outreach did hurt us slightly, but it was also quite offset by the early on take up in 100 gig ports in the early part of the year. As you said, this is the preliminary full year figures financially. We are just starting the audit, so these are likely to change as we go through this and work through the last bits of last year. What's worth noticing is that we had a lower than anticipated income for a full year, but of course, because of the pandemic, we also had a very large offset in less expenditure than we had planned as events, travel, etc. didn't happen, but also we have actually realized quite a few other savings throughout the year that you can see as well that came through in this. So on the whole, we actually had a better result than budgeted. Almost, well, we had 1.2 million. We're looking at 1.2 million versus 0.6. So that's been quite a lot better than we had anticipated. And capital expenditure came in on budget, so that was quite positive in that sense. So that was already very. That's the preliminary results for last year. So I think, given the circumstances, we have done quite well. And then briefly, just some other activities. As you know, COVID-19 is still ongoing. I don't think I remind anyone. All our offices are remaining closed. All staff are working from home. We do have staff visiting our sites as needed for operational reasons or provisioning. That still continues, but apart from that, all staff are continuing to work from home. One interesting something that we launched towards the end of last year was the member onboarding on the portal, and I think Mike's going to talk more about this. Has now been automated, and this is a part of our ongoing efforts to automate as much as we can to the portal. And this was the first step to bring this into automation and to the member-facing functionality. We also had 2 traffic peaks. LINX1 broke 5 terabit as a peak traffic towards and I think that was in January actually. And but more interesting, also LINX2 has had a new traffic peak where we have started seeing traffic growing on LINX2, which is very positive and shows that LINX2 remains a very viable secondary LAN in London and as a service from LINX. So quite happy to see that that's still growing and that we still see port orders and upgrades targeting for LINX2.